And last but not least, I'm going to invite Mtetwa to give us her remarks. I think more than anything else, Phumi is a social justice activist in the true sense of the word. One of the words that Terry was chuckling, that was bandied about by some of my radio guests today, is the word intersectional. That's become popular in some circles. While long before the word became popular, it was activists like Phumi who role modeled what it means to take your activism seriously, because you don't just live a single life. So for her, although many of us know her as an LGBTI activist, she's also done enormous work in civil society on questions of gender in general, but in particular the economy. And it's fashionable for some of us now to make the connections between activism in the economy and social justice questions about identity. And Phumi has been doing that for the longest time. Can we please put our hands together and welcome her to this space?
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Wady. Thanks for the intro, Yubi. It's wonderful to speak after my leader. And actually, I've known Cheryl for so many years and Terry, but it's the first time that we're sitting like speaking, on the same panel. We've danced on other tables and done all sorts of other things in so many years, but it's actually wonderful to actually speak after you all. I'm also happy because of the question that we were asked to reflect on, to speak after Cheryl, because I wanted to raise 3 points, and they are all around reflection. They're all around reflection of what 56 means, what 26 is, and what we'll be talking about in 10 years from now. The first thing to say is that there are 2 days in South Africa that make me extremely sad. It's June 16 and August 9th. They make me sad because they have lost the meaning that they had to many of us who actually were moved by these days, who were formed because of these days, who lived our lives because these days happened. So there'll be a wonderful dinner somewhere in Pretoria to celebrate Women's Day. There'll be the rally that Terry was talking about earlier on, where on a radio station, Sophia De Bruin can say something else, but will not say it on stage. But Tabile was talking about patriarchy and how important it is to challenge patriarchy in South Africa today. So these days make me sad because they have been co-opted to actually have no meaning at all. And so what they attempt to do is to wipe away their significance and their relevance in today's South Africa. Because all may be good in terms of what we have advanced, but there is a long way to go. And we can reflect on using just those 2 days. I mean, there are many others probably, but using those 2 days to actually take stock of how far we've come. That's the first point I wanted to say. And on somebody's Facebook, there were other things going on. Eusebius mentioned somebody's Facebook. I think in 1956, in 1956, the 20,000 women that organized at that time, we have to say that almost in the same breath as we organized around the Women's Coalition for the Constitution writing process, is that the enemy was clear. The enemy was clear. It was the apartheid system that was able to organize all these energies and bring them together to fight this clear enemy. And hence Freedom died a week later, a month later, The enemy was clear. I think today when we reflect, we have to ask ourselves, who are the enemies that actually make it difficult for women in all of their diversities? Because women is not just like one of the greatest contributions of feminists has been to introduce gender into our lives. But one of the most important contributions in the 20th century has been that transgender people have questioned the feminist introduction of gender to say even gender limits and wipes away many other women and forms like this binary notion. So I'm saying, I'm going to use, I struggle with using the term women, but in locating it around 1956 and those women, and to think about what are the women's struggles today in all of that, what should be the women's struggles today? Women cannot be at desk in a union that is largely led by women. You know, there's a woman's desk in a woman's led, like, you know, there's a desk, and it's literally a desk, you know, with a table and it's literally a desk. But one of the things is that women are organizing in various other social movements, in various other struggles, in various other community needs. Which is why I think there is no women's movement in this country today. It's because we are everywhere. And this is exactly why I think this is an important point to think about when we reflect about that common enemy of 1956, and that today there are so many enemies, and which is why we have to be everywhere. South Africans are very domesticated. We love ourselves. We think like, you know, we are so cool, you know? And we never sometimes reflect about what's happening internationally, you know? There are amazing women solidarity initiatives going on right now. There's a movement called the World March of Women. It's a grassroots movement born in Quebec, but very much reached in the favelas of Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Somebody said to me a month ago that the World March of Women is a political party, no longer a movement. This shows the amount of strength that the grassroots women from all over the world now are organizing in the World March of Women around food sovereignty, you know, around minimum wages, around making solidarity with organizations like the Peasants Movement, Movimiento Sin Tierra, or Via Campesina, and so on. So when we reflect about the many needs that we still have to accomplish, we have to think, look at organizations like the World March of Women. What does the World March of Women say, for instance, about access to education for many people in rural areas in most parts of Africa? Not even most, even in South Africa, in some parts of Asia, in some parts of Latin America, and so on. And then there's another women's initiative called the AWOD, which will be meeting actually in Bahia in a few months. UCB has mentioned that I try to understand the economy because, you know, as an accountant, nobody knows this. As an accountant, I know nothing about the economy, so nobody knows I'm an accountant. But to try and understand why is it such a contested terrain, the field of economy? What does it mean for my young niece? Why is it that men are so much wanting to hold on to power? Why is it that capital is making a woman's life so difficult to rise? So I am on this journey of reflection. So when I think about solidarity, strategic cooperation, unity, I have to locate it in relation to what are the current struggles that we are trying to forge today? And what has inspired these struggles? Where do we come from that inspires these struggles today? I cannot answer that question until I have understood the current struggles and the principles and ethics that accompany these struggles. I look forward to engaging. Thank you.
Thank you, Phumi. Are you going to share that wonderful quote in front of you, or is that like your final word?
Oh, this quote. My beautiful partner who's somewhere working, our kid, made me these cards. And at the back, she put, well-behaved women rarely make history.
Got a t-shirt like that.